Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, lads and lads. My name is Racquet. Welcome to my video. This is going to be about the Division 2 scene of the Oceanic region. Now, this is quite an intriguing one. After making that tweet, I got a few responses from both Division 1 players and Division 2 players. People were actually genuinely concerned as to if that tweet was actually fake or not. Believe it or not, those words were real. So, if you want to know what was said, follow my Twitter down below. There we go, that's how you plug something, mate. So, just a brief summary of that tweet, actually. I said, I once killed this Division 1 player, therefore I should be in Division 1. Now, believe it or not, that was actually said. People were genuinely surprised when I did say that. I confirmed. A lot of stupid, outlandish comments have been said in our scene. And if you people think I'm elitist, I'm toppering over the Division 2 scene, like they're a bunch of peasants, that is completely wrong. Okay? I was once a Division 2 player. I am very in grasp of what actually does happen down there. And believe you me, I will make a video on our Division 1 scene later. So I will rain my infernal pit across that scene as well. So don't worry, I'm not biased. We're gonna roast everyone, mate. That's what this channel was all about. So subscribe and like if you want more of that shit. So, Division 2 scene, right? Division 2. What an absolute predicament it is in. The difficult part is, what do you exactly call Division 2? Is it all teams out of the top 4 or top 5 maybe? Do you just call them all Division 2 players? It's very difficult because if you're looking at a league format, that's a little bit difficult to try and evaluate, right? Having only a division full of 4 teams maybe, that's a little bit shallow, don't you think? If we're going into contenders, you obviously need these people bundled up. 12 teams, they're going to be in the same division fighting each other, and the main concern is it becomes a lot more, how can I say, they're out of their depth across teams that are not in that top 4 to top 5 slot, right? It is a complete known quantity that those teams are very, very out of their league. No pun intended, but they are classified on the spreadsheet as Division 2 teams, which I guess is what I'm going to be particularly going off, right? So these are teams that haven't solidified themselves in the scene. They maybe could be lasting, or maybe they've had a long-standing roster but they haven't really punched through yet. Maybe they've just created a new pickup team that could have a few good players, but they're really only just getting started. So those are all classified as Div 2, and of course there's different tiers within Division 2 as well. There's of course different strength, skill levels throughout that scene. Of course there are better teams than the others. There's a significant difference between the top Division 2 scene and the bottom team as well. So we need to put that into context for people who may be thinking that I'm painting the canvas with a very broad brush. So getting that all out of the way, what are the problems in the Division 2 scene, and why did I particularly make that tweet? It's because a lot of people are deceived with their actual skill level. Now, how has this helped? Of course, outside help is always encouraged, and I feel like a lot of these Division 2 players are segregated from the Division 1 scene. They're almost purged because of what their SR means. A lot of these people, I guess I keep referring to them as elitists, who just look at them based on their skill level. They're like, yep, I don't even want to fucking talk to you, get out of my way, I want to be the best in the scene, you go fuck yourself. And to be completely fair, Division 1, they have no real incentive to help them anyway, I guess, a direct incentive. So I guess there is a way to go about it in saying that if you do help these guys for tournaments going in along the line, it will help them to not disband. So as good as our top 4 or 5 teams are, there's going to be a lot more teams than that if people are constantly encouraged to participate and they see that there is a need and support for their teams to be in a specific tournament, right? So if that can really get nailed down packed, then we'd be a lot more successful. I'm not necessarily saying every Division 1 player has to go to bloody Watchpoint and give like one-on-one coaching sessions. I'm just saying if there's someone who's really bored, they're in their off time, and these Division 2 teams, or some of them actually do scream on a good schedule, like 3 hours a day or whatever, then chuck in for maybe a map or something, give them some tips. That's what I did with some of the teams. I know Maid is doing a very good job with the Division 2 scene to try and help a particular team, I believe Nocturnal Predators or Sinister Six, I'm not too sure. So they're trying to sort that out, and I'm completely fine with all that. That is absolutely fine. I like to see this happen. It's growing the scene, and it's good to see that these teams in that particular quarter get more support behind them, which I, once again, encourage to the max. Now, as I said, the ego is certainly a problem. Now, let's dial it back to my personal record in the Division 2 scene. Now, I was a Division 2 player. A lot of you guys probably won't know because I was irrelevant and fucking shit at the game, and I'm willing to admit that. Winky face. I was in a team called Dream is Dead, and then it got changed to Frostbite. Now, that was probably one of the best Division 2 teams back in the day, next to Ignis, I believe, and they're currently disbanded as well. So both of those teams are disbanded. There's still players like Virginia floating around, Dio, who is in Witch Hunt, I'm pretty sure. So there are still players that do come out on this on top, and they get good reputation. SR is probably the best resume you can give to these particular guys, but still dialing it back to my personal time in Frostbite, a lot of the issues that I saw is, especially considering that a lot of these teams, they're managed by players. Ego is definitely the worst threat that you can really run into, because you have a situation where the owner of the team is playing on the team, and not that we particularly had this problem, but I know there are several Division 2 teams that have this significant problem, where the owner is in the team and he's the worst person, but they're constructing a good team around him as if it's a sort of band-aid. You're a diamond support main, and you're getting a bunch of GM people around you. You're not supposed to be in that team. You're out of your fucking depth, mate. You're getting boosted in a team sense. So that has actually happened quite a lot, believe it or not, in the Division 2 seed, which is, it's understandable because there's no one really behind with an outside perspective to say, dude, fuck off, get out. And the ego does come in, and it ruins some of these teams internally. A lot of arguments come in, and this guy's like, all right, so why don't you step out? No, because I'm the owner. That can't happen. I don't want to be in a manager role. That's boring after you spreadsheets shit. Fuck that. None of that. I'm quite impatient in terms of that regard. There are teams that do that sort of things, and they're a little bit more patient in the sense, and they're willing to go and do the hard yards, but they're not that many. So that needs to be sorted out, hopefully. Now, as I said, there are people within the scene who can assist with that. Maid is a good example. I think I can help with a few of these teams. I'm not like binded to an organization or a team anymore, so I can just roam around in scrims and watch people, which I find fun. You can ask Rec, who is doing VOD reviews on his Twitch channel, which you can go ask him, give him your VOD, and he will review your map for you. I believe he's doing it for free for a limited time, so hit up his Twitch channel. I will have that in the link down below. He does a great job at looking at the foundations. He's an experienced League of Legends coach, and he transitions that into Overwatch quite well. So if you guys can get help from these particular people, if you can look from an outside perspective and give these egotistical pricks a nudge, then perhaps you can get a little bit more distance with what you want, a little bit more yardage within your team. So, once again, we're looking at that tweet. What was the point of it? Because people actually do say stupid shit like that. And it genuinely surprises me that people have that mindset, because it was a Thorn video that I watched, actually, and he made up a really good point. That a lot of people are deceived when they get the very, very best play in a specific game, and they look at that best play, and then they really get deceived because they think that that's their average skill level, and if they go below that for some reason, they completely ignore it because they just like looking at the highlight of it, right? So that sort of part really plays into a lot of these teams, I feel, and Division 1 certainly has that issue as well. I'm not painting this directly onto Division 2. People seem to be very, very deceived with their actual skill level based on their best performance, and they think that their best performance is their actual performance rate, when in reality their best performance is not going to be as consistent, or won't be consistent, because it is their absolute peak. It's difficult to reach your peak all the time because of these certain factors in Overwatch. That it's a variety of things, right? But I'll get into that. So, what can we exactly talk about even more? Let's take a nice drink. Let's take a nice drink, because we need to sort this out. Okay. My advice, my primary advice for you chaps in the Division 2 scene: don't disband, minimalize roster shuffles. Here is the main problem that I see. Now, understandably, there isn't a lot of support in our scene for Division 2 teams. Of course, tournaments aren't run very regularly. There's no investment that these people can really make that really would turn the tide in them in trying to participate more often on a regular basis. Now, here is the problem. Once we do have these tournaments that wind up, like Full Circle, Open Division, that are completely open, people can participate in it, people fucking disband mid-tournament. So especially for the Full Circle condition, right, where they're literally taking money out of their back pockets, putting it into the scene, a lot of teams enter the tournament. Good on them. We had a lot of participants, but people decided to disband mid-tournament. What incentive is it for Full Circle to make another tournament like that, if you're just going to disband the midway through? How about you actually stick through? If you want to disband after it, fuck it, go for it. Even though it probably wouldn't be ideal, don't do it in the middle of the tournament, because you make our scene look like a joke. This applies to Division 1 as well. But for Division 1, people at least stuck through at the end of the tournament, right? They at least went through with the roster. Division 2 people just didn't give a fuck, automatic disbands, and like, yep, well, why get through this? You are complaining about the lack of tournaments within the scene, yet when you're in one, you fucking go off the radar. You disappear because of some stupid inbuilt roster issues that you guys manifested and fucking overreacted with. So please, once you do have these opportunities, grab them by the balls and take it. Please. Because there are a lot of Division 2 teams, I know this. There are a lot of willing participants. You just need to remain durable in these tournaments. ESL Open, I hope that these guys stick through into the end, because Contenders is riding on the end of that train track, right? Do you want to be in Contenders? It's a pretty good pay, considering it's the very start of what we've been receiving as a competitive environment for our Oceanic scene with Contenders. What is it, like $100 per map or whatever? Per player or per team, whatever it is. Still, regardless, you're playing a game of Overwatch, and it is going to be very heavily contested. 12 teams, and as I said, 4 to 5, that's Division 1. The rest, it's all very debatable, right? So that gives you some more incentive to practice. That gives you more incentive to hang in there. Don't disband. Work hard. Remain durable. Please, for the love of God. It is honestly tilting. It is tilting. You can probably see the visual stimuli on this screen. Look at my facial structure. I'm going a little bit red. But please, stick through. Our scene needs to flourish. We need these bright flowers coming in through the ground. We want our soil to be nourished. Please, lads, get through to these tournaments. Don't disband. Give investors reason to invest into Overwatch. If people are dying around the whole battlefield, what's going to happen? No one will have any interest. So please, lads and ladettes, don't disband. Remain durable. Get help with other outside people outside of your team. That is it. Goodbye.